The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like angry hornets, casting a sickly pallor across Lincoln High's third-floor history classroom. 30 pairs of eyes watched in stunned silence as the torn white cotton fluttered to the linoleum floor, exposing the pale skin of Emily Carter's shoulder and the black strap of the only bra she owned. The laughter that had started as a low ripple from the back row died instantly. Not because anyone suddenly grew a conscience, but because the girl they had tormented for 3 straight years had just done something no one expected. Emily's hands were still gripping the edge of a metal desk. Her knuckles were white. Then, with a sound like a gunshot, she drove her foot into it. The desk flipped end over end, slamming into the tile with a metallic scream that echoed down the hallway. Books scattered, a phone clattered from someone's hand, and the room went dead silent. No one moved. Not the 3 football players who had yanked her shirt, not the girls filming on their phones. Not even Mr. Hensley, frozen halfway out of his chair with a dry, erase marker still clutched in his fist. Emily stood in the wreckage, chest heaving, green eyes burning with something ancient and terrifying. The shy girl who never spoke above a whisper, the one they called Ghost. Because she drifted through the halls like she was already gone, had just declared war. But this moment didn't come out of nowhere. It had been building for years, layer by painful layer, like scar tissue over a wound no one else could see. Rewind 3 years. Emily Carter was 14 when her father's flag-draped casket was lowered into the frozen ground of Arlington National Cemetery. Sergeant First Class Daniel Carter, 75th Ranger Regiment, 2 tours in Iraq. 1 in Afghanistan, killed by an Aid outside Kandahar 6 weeks before he was supposed to come home for good. The army gave her a folded flag and a triangular shadow box with his medals. They didn't give her a new dad. They didn't give her mom a reason to stop crying at night. They just gave her silence and a house that suddenly felt too big and too empty in Woodbridge, Virginia. Her mother, numb with grief and prescriptions, decided they needed a fresh start. That fresh start turned out to be a 2-bedroom apartment above a laundromat in a fading industrial town 2 hours north, where the high school smelled like bleach and broken dreams. Emily enrolled as the new kid halfway through freshman year, pale, quiet, and wearing her father's old desert camouflage jacket 2 sizes too big because it still smelled faintly like him. The first day, a senior named Tyler Brandt looked at the jacket, smirked, and said loud enough for the cafeteria to hear, "What is this? Bring your dad's laundry to school day." The laughter that followed carved the first cut. From that day on, Emily became prey. Tyler and his pack, 3 linebackers with steroid shoulders and the moral compass of alley cats, made it their mission to remind her she didn't belong. They knocked books from her arms in the hallway, poured chocolate milk on her backpack. Once, they cornered her in the gym locker room and snapped photos while she changed, threatening to post them if she ever told. Teachers looked the other way. Guidance counselors said, "Kids will be kids." Her mother was too lost in her own darkness to notice the bruises shaped like fingerprints on her daughter's arms. Emily learned to make herself small. She spoke only when called on, ate lunch in the library, and walked the long way around the building to avoid the senior hallway. She told herself if she just stayed quiet, they would get bored. They never did. But every night, after her mom passed out on the couch with the TV flickering infomercials, Emily went into the spare room that still smelled like cardboard boxes and opened the footlocker her father had shipped home before his last deployment. Inside were the things the army didn't put in the shadow box: his worn copy of the Ranger Creed, a stack of letters he never mailed, a battered iPod full of heavy metal and old country, and a single flash drive labeled in his handwriting, "For Emmy if I don't make it back." She had never been brave enough to plug it in. Until the day her shirt hit the floor. The moment the desk crashed, something inside Emily snapped, not with weakness, but with clarity. All the grief, all the rage, all the nights she had cried into her father's jacket until there were no tears left, crystallized into a single, cold certainty: no more. Tyler recovered first. He took a step forward, 6'3" and 250 pounds of entitlement, grinning like this was still a game. "You gonna cry now, Ghost?" or you gonna pick up your little desk and sit the fuck down?" Emily didn't answer with words. She bent slowly, picked up the desk with both hands and set it upright. The room watched, confused. Then she reached into her backpack, pulled out a small black flash drive on a worn piece of 550 cord and walked to the front of the room. Mr. Hensley finally found his voice. "Miss Carter, return to your seat right now." She ignored him. She plugged the drive into the classroom's ancient Dell computer connected to the projector. The screen flickered. The lights dimmed automatically as the projector woke up. Tada, and the room saw Sergeant First Class Daniel Carter for the first time. Tada, he was sitting on an ammo crate in full kit, helmet cam rolling, somewhere in the mountains of Kunar province. The footage was raw, unedited. Wind howled. In the background, tracers streaked across a night sky. Daniel Carter looked straight into the lens. Exhaustion etched around his eyes, but his voice was steady. "Ja, hey, baby girl," he said, the same Virginia accent Emily still carried. "If you're watching this, things didn't go the way we planned. I'm sorry I'm not there to teach you this myself, but you need to know who you are. You're a Carter. You're a Ranger's daughter. And Rangers don't quit. Rangers don't hide. When the world tries to break you, you stand up taller, you hit back harder, and you never, ever let them see you bleed." Cha-cha, the video cut to training footage. Most civilians never see Daniel running the Derby Queen obstacle course with a 60-pound ruck, flipping tires the size of truck wheels, fast roping from a Black Hawk in pitch black, dragging a 200-pound dummy through mud while lev rounds snapped overhead. Then it cut to hand him against 3 opponents at once, moving like water, breaking arms, driving knees, ending fights before they began. The classroom watched in silence as the man on screen put a blade through a ballistic dummy's neck and looked up with ice in his eyes. The final clip was quieter. Just Daniel in a plywood hooch, holding a photo of 8-year-old Emily in a soccer uniform. His voice cracked for the first and only time. "Tada, I love you more than anything, Emmy. If anyone ever hurts you, you tell them your daddy was 75th Ranger Regiment. You tell them he taught you everything he knows. And if that's not enough, you show them." Tada, the video ended. The screen went black. Tada, Emily turned around slowly. The torn shirt hung off one shoulder, but she stood like she was wearing full armor. Tyler laughed, nervous now. "What? Your dead dad's gonna come save you?" Tada, Emily took one step forward, then another. The room felt too small for what was about to happen. "Dunno," she said, voice low, steady. The first time most of them had heard her speak more than 5 words at once. He already did. Tyler swung first. A big, looping haymaker meant to end it quick and save face. Emily slipped inside it the way her father had taught the soldiers in that video, caught the arm, pivoted, and drove her elbow into the side of his neck. Tyler dropped like someone cut his strings. Before his friends could process it, she was moving a knee to the second boy's solar plexus that folded him in half, a palm heel strike to the third's nose that sent blood arsing across 3 desks. It was over in 4 seconds. 3 bodies on the floor, groaning. Emily stood over them, breathing hard, eyes blazing. Then she looked at the rest of the class, 30 phones still raised, still recording, and spoke the words that would be viewed 87 million times in the next week. "Cha-cha! My father was a United States Army Ranger. He died so people like you could be free to be cowards. Today, I stopped being afraid of you." Chow-chow, she picked up her torn shirt, tied it around her waist like it was nothing, grabbed her backpack, and walked out. The hallway cameras caught the rest. Students parting like the Red Sea, teachers frozen, Emily Carter walking tall for the first time in 3 years. By the time the final bell rang, the video was everywhere. Not just the fight, the whole thing. The shirt, the desk, the flash drive, her father's voice. Hashtags exploded, Faye Ranger's daughter, Faye she snapped, Faye never again. News crews camped outside the school. The principal tried to suspend her for violent behavior. The internet lost its mind. Within 48 hours, the suspension was overturned, Tyler and his friends were expelled, and the school board issued a public apology while quietly updating their anti-bullying policy with new teeth. But the real ending wasn't on the news. 3 weeks later, On a cold Saturday morning, Emily stood in the same cemetery where her father rested. She wore her mother's old winter coat now, no more camouflage jacket 2 sizes too big. In her hand was a brand new challenge coin, bronze, heavy, stamped with the Ranger scroll on one side and the words, "Rangers lead the way," on the other. A group of men in civilian clothes but unmistakable bearings stood behind her, members of her father's old platoon who had driven through the night when they saw the video. The tallest one, a grizzled master sergeant with a silver star pinned under his jacket, stepped forward and pressed the coin into her palm. "Ta-cha, your dad would have been proud as hell, kid," he said, voice thick. "He always said you had more heart than half the Joes he led." Chowder Emily closed her fingers around the coin. For the first time since she was 14, she smiled, really smiled. Cha-cha, she looked down at the headstone. "Cha-cha, I did it, Daddy," she whispered. I stood up. Cha-cha, the wind carried her words across the rows of white markers, past the folded flags and the eternal flames, all the way to whatever place watches over the ones still fighting down here. Teru, and somewhere, in a quiet classroom that would never quite be the same, 30 kids learned that silence isn't always weakness. Tata, sometimes it's a storm gathering strength. Tata, so here's the question for all of you watching right now. When's the last time you mistook someone's quiet for surrender? When's the last time you realized too late that the person you wrote off had an entire army behind their eyes? Saucha, drop your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever seen someone finally snap in the best way possible? Ever been the quiet kid who decided enough was enough? Tell us your story. And if this one hit you in the chest the way it hit me telling it, do me a favor, smash that like button. Share it with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to fight back the right way. And subscribe, because every week we're bringing you more stories of regular people who found out they were anything but regular when the moment came. This is what courage looks like when it finally speaks. Chada, we'll see you in the next one.